Hello, everyone. Welcome back to The Gray Say There's a Better Way, my YouTube program, which is part of the Pot Smokers Bible channel, where I tell you what the Gray have been telling me. Because I'm a telepath, and I have been working with the Gray, not knowing it, since 1979. I didn't realize that I was actually communicating with aliens until the early 2000s. But by then, I had this long history of a religious interaction with them because the communications that I have with them started out as prayers. So when I first started to have my prayers answered, it was a very natural thing for me because I was born a Christian. I went to Sunday school as a child, and I learned all about Israel and God. So, and I always prayed. From when I was a little child, I always prayed every day. And through these prayers, the Grey heard me because the Grey are telepathic, and so am I because I smoke marijuana. And marijuana has the THC molecule, contains THC, and THC is a gateway chemical in the evolution of humanity. It um, opens you up to your gray anatomy. It was to the gray a nutrient, a food that they ate. It helps to create the telepathic pathways in the brain of a human. Now, the grays, of course, are born with those pathways active, but humans have this same ability, but it's latent. So when I became a telepath, they began to hear me when I was praying. So when I said the right prayer, they began to answer the prayers because I had said the right words. I had shown them through my prayers that I was willing to do the right thing, that I was not a selfish person, and that they could therefore help me to become more like them. Because I was telepathic, they could lead me down a path that would help me to gain trust in them because they were God and because they interacted with me as God. And that's how I always knew them until the early 2000s when my life had led me to the realization that they were alien. That, wait a minute, these UFOs and, seeing UFOs made it real for me. It's like, here are these aliens, and here are, it's like I'm having my prayers answered. And when I speak, tell it with my mind to this ship that's in the sky above me, and it goes into a cloud, and I'm like, wow, I'd love to see that again, and they back out of the cloud. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. I just said I wanted them to back out of the cloud. Do that again, so they go into the cloud and they come back out, and it's like, whoa, wait a minute, this is real, And so they led me through gentle love, caring, showing me through answered prayers that I was important to them, that they were real, that this was not, insanity. And insanity was part of the prayer that I had said. I did not want to go crazy. So they guided me through the schizophrenic fight of the telepath, which is covered in a series that I have on Pot Smoker's Bible called the Fight of the Telepath. So, and that is to help telepaths to get through the gauntlet of negativity that you inevitably hit when you become telepathic. It's like every telepath who has not good intentions, it's like attacks you when you become a telepath. It's terrible. It drives people crazy. And on top of that, the psychiatrists tell them that they are crazy. It's like these voices in your head aren't somebody else trying to mess with you. No, that's you. Seriously? It's not you. But unless you have a guiding force, like the gray, like I did, when you go through that gauntlet of negative telepathic survival, it's like you have to have a moral standing to get through that. And people without moral standings, they just falter and go down dark paths. It's terrible. And that's part of the problem with the gray. They try to talk to people through the clutter of human telepathic junk. But they're very particular about the people that they're willing to talk to. Because as telepaths, in a society of telepaths, they operate totally different than telepathy does here on this planet. So I was dealing with the same psychopathic crap everybody else was dealing with telepathically. But I had the gray who were answering my prayers to guide me through that, so that when these voices started to tell me to do bad things, it was like, no, duh, I know better. And so the gray molded me and shaped me through life experience and through the answering of prayers and through the many miracles that I witnessed that they did for me on a daily basis sometimes, just to keep me going down that path, which I call the path of ascension. And it has brought me to the place that they needed me to be in, which is a trusted ally for them, a true voice that they know without doubt or necessity of doubt that when I open my mouth and speak, it will be on their behalf and it will be the truth that they want me to tell you. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm doing this. Because I have proven to them that I'm worthy of them. And they have proven to me that they are worthy of being called God. Now, when I call them God, I don't call them God as in God. No. The original meaning of the word God is literally those who from the heavens came. This is my physical God, the gray. They are descended from the very beings that we call gods, from our ancient texts and stories and mythologies. So these beings that I'm interacting with are descended from Baal, Ishtar, Zeus, Hera, Osiris, Krishna, all the gods and goddesses of old, Quetzalcoatl, all of them, from all over the planet. They were all either gray themselves or associated with the gray, like the reptilians or the insectoids. Or there's 12 species that we're dealing with from this gods. And the gray are the prominent ones. But they're not gray. They're blue. Like the ancient Hindu gods, the ancient Sumerian gods, the ancient royal blue of the Americas, the Maya blue. Those are the depictions of the skin color of the gods. That was That's their skin tone because they breathe nitrogen. The gray coverings, the gray suits that they wear, are environmental suits to protect their blue skin from the oxygen that is toxic to them because they breathe and live in an atmosphere of nitrogen, hence the blue skin. And it is their intention to follow the ancient preset conditions of first contact, which they left to us in the form of the Bible or the Tanakh. Now, as part of my service to them, I was given instructions from this book as to how to enact first contact. They literally said, here, Isaiah tells you, put this in order for me, so that it can be plainly understood. He directs me to do it line by line, precept by precept, here a little, there a little, so that it's hard to decipher. And so I did just that. I followed the instructions left to me by the prophet Isaiah. I did every act that I was meant to enact in order to fulfill prophecy, up to and including the final act of prophecy, which is the publishing of peace, free of charge, because I am required by the prophecy to do everything without money. Hence, the reason why I live in poverty. I never sought wealth because wealth was a no no-go for me. If I sought wealth in any way, shape, or form, or used it to fulfill prophecy, I would fail. That was part of the instructions left to me by this book. So, having already followed the instructions left to me by the gods of old to create the right conditions for first contact, this is what I'm doing. I only have one thing that I'm required to do to actually make first contact with the gray. Physical, earthly first contact, as in Star Trek first contact kind of thing. Except for gray instead of Klingon, or instead of Vulcan. So, to make first contact with the gray, all I have to do is to convince all of the people from America who are sick and tired of corporate politics to agree to hold a solemn assembly with me in order to invite the gray to come to Earth and make first contact with me, under the stipulation that if they come, we will continue to enact the full prophecy. In other words, once the gray arrive, we, the gray and the humans together, will take the necessary steps to fulfill the entire prophecy as foretold by their ancestors to our ancestors. You want to go camping? That's all we have to do. We, the pot smokers of America, have to hold a solemn assembly, a camp out, where we contact the gray as the ancient gods of Earth and ask them to come. And they will come. And that's what this book says. So join me in my camp out as soon as COVID is over. So may the gray watch over you, guide you, protect you, and keep you from all harm. May they teach you right from wrong, and may you be worthy of them. May your thoughts, words, and deeds reflect truth, good, and light, the unicorn way. Find your joy and pursue it. Make that your guild choice. When we get to Camp Zion, our big solemn assembly. My name is Zion. I love you way too much to say goodbye. I'll say later now. Stay happy and high if you use drugs. You have every right and reason to.